You're watching Rules of the Game on Rider Nation Station, brought to you by Minster Bank, Plus One Professionals, Albert Sporting Goods, American Legion Post 323, Fowler's TV, Eagles Lodge 767, Speckman Automotive, Auglaze Audiology, Rabel's Auto Service, American Manufacturing Solutions, VFW 9289, Auglaze Equipment Rental, Guarneri's Pizzeria, Vogel's Bake Shop, Schaff Auto Sales, Miller Funeral Homes, and Spees Chiropractic and Wellness Center.
Hello and welcome to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. I'm your host, Zach Farrell. Each and every week we try to bring Rough Rider alum and local high school official Mark Cisco in to look at some clips from the previous week's game. Mark, thanks for coming back again.
Zach, it's always a pleasure, especially in the postseason.
Yes, we're in the playoffs, and so one question that I thought was, are the bulletins and the points of emphasis coming from the OHSAA and from the officials, is that still happening in the playoffs?
It is still happening. Each week we get a bulletin from the Director of Officiating Operations for Football, Dr. Bruce Maurer, that basically talks about things that maybe he saw the previous week, things that were reported to him through observers' reports, things of that nature, things that can be done better. Nothing normally outrageous, although sometimes you have to scratch your head at some of the things that come across, and you're wondering, okay, how does a crew of five miss that sort of thing? So mistakes happen. If we were perfect like all the kids and the coaches, why, it would be an easy game to deal with, So, and I know the coaches would say the same thing. If they were perfect like us, it would be an easy game. So, we're human, and we just try to work to get better each week, just like the kids do.
Well, this show and talking to you has certainly given me a more appreciation that these are, truly volunteer officials and that they're human and the mistakes are made, and very rarely are things ever intentional or true malice of any sort.
I'm sure we're going to see a couple things here that probably could have be done better, but that happens in every football game.
Right. Well, this was the second week in a row that you were able to come into the press box and watch the game. What was that experience like? And
it was a more of an official observer capacity this time. Last week was a little bit more informal, but this time I was representing the OHSAA folks in observing the officials. My job was not to critique them so much as to just have some constructive comments, both good and bad, as to what they might be able to improve upon during the game. And for the most part, I thought this crew on the surface did a very good job. Now we're going to see some plays that probably could have went the other way. But mechanically, and that's what we're looking for, they did fairly well. They were in the right places at the right time, and I think they didn't do anything to hurt the outcome of the game.
Well, we appreciate having you in the box because we're able to come over and talk to you if we have some questions. So thanks for being there.
It's fun for me. Thank you.
I didn't find actually too many controversial plays during this game, but we have some things to look at.
Sure,
so
let's go.
First play that we're going to jump right into was the very first onside kick.
Okay.
So I just thought it sets up a couple other plays later in the game. What are you looking for as an official onto whether the onside kick was
Well, we're looking
done
for
properly?
anybody that's over the line, so to speak, where the ball is there at the 40. Somebody that's breaking that plane. And you can see, if you look close, now our chief engineer stopped the action right here. You can see about the third guy up from the ball. His head is clearly breaking the line. Okay. Now, there's a philosophy in high school football that if you're not stepping across the line, it's not a foul. So early in the game, we may allow something like this. However, in an onside kick situation, we're supposed to treat that 40-yard line as a plane of glass. In other words, if there's a plane of glass in theory that goes up from the ground and clear up to infinity, and if somebody's breaking that, especially in an onside kick situation, of course we don't know that to open the game, then that should be shut down as a foul and brought back.
Okay. And so that's something that you think should probably be looked at a little bit more stricter.
I mean, our director of football operations has said treat that way, but there are some areas of the state where clearly they do not treat it as a plane of glass, like is shown right here. That, when you stop it like that, is a foul. Now, the official, he's got milliseconds to decide, ball, head, wherever. So can you fault him on this one? Not really. I think we'll see one later on that maybe we should have.
Okay. The other aspects of this play, the ball hits the ground, rolls forward, goes 10 yards.
And at that point, it's a free ball at that point.
Right. I didn't see anything else that really
No,
jumped
not
out
really.
at me.
It's all good, and it met the requirements. And
right.
CJ just surprised the Riders, and they come away with the football.
Certainly a surprising way to start the game.
It sure is.
This next clip that we have was an offsides from Chaminade Julian called against them. Pretty basic, straightforward. You can see kind of at the end, very end there, the right end on CJ's line just is way over the line.
Yeah, I think he may even be lined up over the football at that point, possibly, because the flag comes out and the official's probably saying, get back, get back, get back. But as soon as the ball snaps, he's pulling it. He's giving him every opportunity to get back from the football, and that's a dead ball foul, so the play theoretically never happens.
And he can technically call that at any time that player is lined up there.
The rule basically says, look, the defense cannot be in there once the ball is placed and the umpire steps away from the football. Then no defensive players can be in the neutral zone giving signals. But as soon as the center comes out and puts his hands on the football, then nobody can be in there.
It's just that officials usually give them time to maybe fix
little time
themselves
to fix it, and sometimes the center will move the ball up
right.
when they're going to snap it, and we take that into consideration as well. But that wasn't the case here. He clearly was lined up in the neutral zone.
All right.
Yep.
Well, this next play was a punt from Shaman Julian to St. Mary's, and St. Mary's, I thought that the kick returner tried to call for a fair catch, but I thought that another player was sort of blocked into him a little bit, not giving him room to do that. So I didn't know if there was anything that needed to be called or.
Yeah, well, let's take a look. Oh, he did make a signal for a fair catch, and then he decides not to. As it turned out, it didn't turn out too well for the Riders on that particular play. The ball takes off. But he does signal properly and fine, so there's no issues going on there. So he just didn't make the catch, and, of course, it cost the Riders a few more yards. But if I remember right, they drove it up the field, and it wasn't too
So that little block there at the end was more of it didn't actually push the guy into him or anything?
Didn't push it. And even if the kicking team had pushed, let's say, the Rider blocker into the potential kick returner, we got no foul there because we're not making contact. The kicking team's not making contact or in the face of the kick returner. They're just blocking another player who should have stood his ground and basically done his job.
Well, this next play, we had a little bit of a false start on Shaman Julian and then a big hit from St. Mary's. I thought it was a clean hit, but just wanted your thoughts on that.
Okay, let's just take a look.
So some sort of flinch at the line, and then a big hit from Ty Keel.
Yeah, that was like continuing action there. As soon as we had the false start on the offense, the ball is dead, but they snapped it really quick. And, the official, he's got the flag, and he brings the whistle up. By the time he brings the whistle up, the ball is out. And we're told not to have the whistles in our mouths at the time the ball is snapped because it prevents inadvertent whistles. But by the time he saw what happened, got the flag out, and then the whistle, the ball's already on the way, and the defender is already moving. So it's those kids are athletic, but they're not that athletic where they can stop in midair. So that was a good. I mean, it could have been called a personal foul, dead ball personal foul on the defense, but that would have been an iffy call, and I think they did okay by staying away from it.
A couple plays later, no foul on this play, but another big hit from St. Mary's, and just maybe now we can talk about, too, what makes it a clean hit or not.
Sure, yeah, let's take a look.
Another hit from Ty Keel.
That's a good breakup of a pass right there. It looks ugly, but that's a clean shot. It's not high. It's not above the shoulders. He used his shoulders. No helmet involved there. I mean, he hits him, and he broke up the pass. That's football. And, yes, there are hard hits in football, and sometimes they look worse than they are, and sometimes they are hurt. But that's just the way it is.
We heard maybe the CJ coaches were upset about with him on those, but I thought they were pretty clean hits.
They were clean, nothing wrong with those from the officiating
standpoint. What I liked is that you used to see hits like that were helmet to helmet.
Yep.
They were still legal back then, and they were strong hits like that. They used to call them getting jacked up.
Yeah,
or something like that.
they've done a good job of taking the helmet out of the game here. Yep.
So to me, it's like, well, we're still able. Look, we're getting good, strong hits, but they're clean pursuant to the current rules. So.
And it's like Coach Fry said, it's football.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right. This next play was just a false start on St. Mary's.
Yep.
My question, though, was, and I said this during the game, we've talked before, I thought you had said that if a lineman, his other hand comes down, it just becomes part of his stance potentially, that it may not be a false start.
Well, that there definitely was a false start.
Because he took a little bit of step too.
He missed the snap count, and he knew it. Yeah, you can see at the end. He knew he did.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he put the hand down, but it wasn't a controlled, slow type situation. He definitely missed the snap count, and everybody else did or he did, one of the two. But
so it's more of the flinch there.
Oh yeah, that simulated the start of the play.
Gotcha,
Absolutely.
Gotcha. This play here was a personal foul that was called on CJ at the end of the play. We saw the ball get inadvertently kicked out of bounds here, and then CJ still, I think 23, just put a little bit of a hit there at the end. I actually thought it was a little closer than I thought when it happened. Like, the ball was just barely out of bounds when he hit the guy.
Right.
But it was just away from the play. So was that more?
Yeah, that was more of away from the play there. He comes up behind and really had no reason, if you look at the left part of the screen, to make that contact. I mean, the ball is out clearly, and he's hitting him right there. Everybody's given up. It's over. So that's what drew the flag right there. It was a late hit personal foul. Yep, good call by the official.
This next play was, I think, what Bo Fry called the play of the game, and I think a lot of us thought, especially looking back at the final score, it definitely was. This was Sharp's interception in the end zone. I just wondered, do you think he clearly was in bounds when he had that interception?
Well, Sharp thought he was in bounds. I mean, if you can see his reaction, and the official was standing right there. So, and at the time when we saw this play, he took his time. He's looking, looks down at the feet, makes sure we got ball, we got feet. Everything was fine. He thought about it for a second, and yes, we have an interception in the end zone. He had to think, all right, what's the signal for a touchback? What is it? Yep, we're good. And that was a great job by the linesman right there. He was calm, cool, collected. He did exactly what he should have, and it was a great. I would have been, people would have been upset if it had been called any other way.
And I think that we didn't really see a lot of objection on the other side of the field.
No.
I think they kind of knew that it was a good play and
Nope.
Just an excellent football play
it
right
was.
on the edge line, and for a defender that's had a foot shorter than the guy that he was playing on, able to jump up and get that.
That was key right there for the Raiders. Yep.
Absolutely. This next play was one that you actually wanted me to pull up, I think.
Oh, I think maybe I did.
This was a QB sneak.
Yep.
And we wanted to talk, we've talked about it in previous years, but does he get a little bit too much of a help from his running backs pushed into the end zone?
Yeah, that was pretty clear right in the lower back area right there. Now, are you going to get that called? Probably not a lot, especially when there's other folks around. I mean, it used to be they'd frown on something like that. I mean, and to the point, if we could see it again one more time, Mr. Engineer, I mean, this play is a little bit easier to call because he's still moving forward, we think. But sometimes in those plays, you don't know whether the forward progress is stopped and then there's contact or whatever. But I could support helping the runner on that play right there.
This other play was Stosh Patterson inside at D end, sort of dives at the offensive feet. Should that have been called a block below the waist, even though he's on defense?
Yes, it could be called.
So Stosh Patterson is on the left end, and of course he's a great player and contributes on both offensive and defensive sides.
I don't know that this is the play, though, is it, Zach?
Well, if you look at the left end, he dives right there.
Yep, sure enough. Yeah, that was missed. We caught that. We were standing along the sideline or outside the fence right near the end of the half, and we caught that one right away. That would have been supported. He goes right down there, tries to take that blocker out, and, for no other reason than that. He didn't trip. It looks like that was an intentional type situation. That should have been called as a block below the waist.
It's tough to – you don't see we've seen it now called on sweeps and things like that when it's outside of that box, but you really don't see a lot of that called either way.
From a defensive lineman right there. You're right.
On the defensive side. So this pass right here was broken up, I thought, nicely, but just thought – was there any pass interference there from St. Mary's? Wasn't called.
You got two guys looking at it. I thought maybe if anything else, they're just hand fighting, and that's okay because it's an equal. Who are you going to call that on? I mean, unless somebody has a clear advantage and they gained a clear advantage, the ball's in the air, and clearly the CJ kid's got an opportunity to get it. He didn't hold on to it as he come. There's the finish the catch rule coming into effect right there. Nope. Good call, good no call.
I even thought some of the early contact was initiated by the receiver.
Could very well be.
He pushed it. He not pushed it, but he was holding on to the guy so that he could kind of control when he went up for the ball.
Some of that goes on, and you're going to let some of that go.
So maybe the biggest controversial play of the game then was the final onside kick, and where the ball was, who had the ball. I watched this over and over and over. We have two different views here. We have the side and the back, and I don't think either of them really show you. Did you have any thoughts from watching it in person?
I don't know if this is one that I thought maybe they should have been stopped.
Yes, you did.
Looky there. See, in that case, the ball probably isn't in the air right now. There is 1, 2, 3 fellows that I can pick out right there. And what's worse about this one is we have officials on both sides of the field, on the 40 and on the free kick receiving line. So somebody should have had this one. To be honest with you, I didn't catch that because we were standing down along the fence outside, down by the 20-yard line, and didn't see this when the gain happened. But this is clearly should have been stopped, and CJ penalized 5 yards at this point. And
just so everybody at home knows what we're talking about, we're pausing it where the player, when the ball's kicked, the player's clearly
stepped over his body is fulling that. That truthfully, in my opinion, should have been an easy call to make.
What about where the ball is? Anything that you were able to see from the field level, or
the ball's right there. It bounces way up, and I think the St. Mary's player had a shot at it, and his teammate knocked it out of his hands. And at that point, when it goes to the ground, unless we are able to see clear recovery by somebody, all right, then it becomes survival of the fittest down underneath the pile. And I probably have no doubt that it may have changed hands once or twice in the pile.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bodies in there. And initially when I saw replays, and I slowed it down on Rider Nation Station early this week, that I thought maybe a CJ player had it. But, you've got guys that are coming in and they can't see all angles. And obviously there's not enough cameras for something like that. So then it becomes survival of the fittest.
Right. We got another angle here that we can watch it from the backside just to see that too. Can't see the player over the yard line as much on this one, but ball's up, ball's down in there somewhere, and it's just a mess.
CJ thinks they've had it, which sometimes is pretty good indication. But again, once it gets under there and all those bodies are there, it's going to be a tussle underneath there to see who's the strongest to come away with it. And I think that's what happened here, and that's part of football.
And that was 22 seconds left in the game, so it not necessarily would have been game over or even tied game automatically. CJ still would have had to go maybe 10 or 20 yards and kick a field goal, but definitely could have been a much different game.
Sure could have. Yep.
Well, thank you again, Mark, for coming.
Zach, it's always a pleasure to be here.
Clips. We're going to hopefully be back next week with more clips from the St. Mary's victory over Hamilton-Baden, and we'll have more of Rider Nation Station for you next week then.
Good enough.
See you then.
You're watching Rules of the Game on Rider Nation Station, brought to you by Minster Bank, Plus One Professionals, Albert Sporting Goods, American Legion Post 323, Fowler's TV, Eagles Lodge 767, Speckman Automotive, Auglaze Audiology, Rabel's Auto Service, American Manufacturing Solutions, VFW 9289, Auglaze Equipment Rental, Guarneri's Pizzeria, Vogel's Bake Shop, Schaff Auto Sales, Miller Funeral Homes, and Spees Chiropractic and Wellness Center. Thanks for watching another episode of Rider Nation Station. Help us help you by subscribing on YouTube or following us on Facebook.